Thanks very much for the opportunity to speak to this forum on this day and to be on this distinguished panel, especially with my old friend, General Dave Petraeus. I'd like to agree with almost everything that David and Mariana said before, and let me take it in a slightly different direction. First of all, I want to express my admiration, my appreciation for the armed forces of Ukraine. The men and women in Ukraine have done an incredible job in defending their country and attempting to take back the territory that's been illegally and brutally seized by Russia. And we in the West know that you're fighting for your own land, but you're also fighting for us. And we appreciate that to an incredible extent. I served my first military combat overseas in Vietnam. I stayed with the military for another 30 years after I came back. I saw the liberation in Eastern Europe. I visited Kyiv in 2000 when your Minister of Defense told me he wanted Ukraine to be in NATO. So I've watched this long, long struggle of the Ukrainian people, and I can only express my most heartfelt admiration for it. Now, the war is going to end when Mr. Putin decides he cannot win and cannot afford the risks of continuing to fight. It's going to end when he withdraws from all Ukrainian territory, including that seized in 2014 and Crimea. There are two aspects of the conflict I'd like to address briefly. First, the information war. Got to win this information war. And so far, Ukraine has done brilliantly at this. President Zelensky's been a great spokesman. He's really made the struggle come alive and energized the world community to understand the stakes in this conflict. So that's tremendous. The visits to Kyiv by key leaders around the world, they're important. You've got to work to accelerate these visits now. Open it up, keep it open, bring people in, meet people, understand the destruction, see the spirit of the Ukrainian people, put it on display. You're fighting for all of us and the future of the global system and mankind. We know it, and the more people that can see it and feel it, the greater the strength and the greater the pressure against Mr. Putin. The symbolic strikes against the cruiser Moskva, the unmanned drone that went into the harbor in Sevastopol, the strike on the Kerch Bridge, whether you did it or not, what's happening in Belgorod occasionally, whether you take credit for it or not. These are really important, not only for their military impact, but to demonstrate Ukraine's fortitude, its skill, its determination to resist. So I never underestimate the value of these strikes, and you should continue to work on these as best you can. But we know, of course, the battlefield is critical. It looks to me like we're in the fourth phase of the war. Brilliant defense of Kyiv, stalwart defense in Donbass, tremendously effective reconnaissance-led attacks in the Northeast and in Kherson. So now, where are we? Winter's setting in. It's still the basic principle of maintaining the momentum, hold the defense, but keep the initiative. And this means continued reliance on reconnaissance-led strikes. We've worked in the United States on our military on sensor-to-shooter linkage for some 50 years, and you're getting some of the benefit of that. But you can take it further. Ukraine's initiative, Ukraine's battlefield experience, your skill, your ability to listen to the Russian radio nets, a lot of other things you do will take this further. And this is the key, to maintain the pressure, to keep the initiative up, and at the same time, do it in the most economical way, protecting your own forces and avoiding going to some culminating point. Where the threat is, that's up to your generals. Is it Crimea? Is it Melitopol? Is it to go to the Russian border and cut off the offensive that's going on in Luhansk and Donetsk? That's the call. And frankly, in the world community, we don't want to know that. That's your operational security. But it is important that you maintain the initiative on what you do. You've got to also develop and further utilize the industrial base. You know, I look at Kyiv and its economy, its pre-war history, the skills of your population. You're the first U.S. ally since World War II that really has strong, effective industrial base capacity and the will to use it for defense. So I hope you'll continue to work on repairing equipment, your innovation, developing the drones, working the electronic warfare that you need to protect the sensor-to-shooting linkage, and all the other things that you have the skill and the technology to do, and to reach out to the West for the hardware that you need, for the other support that you need, because you're fighting for all of us. The legal aspect of this war is very important, and President Zelensky and your diplomats have kept this front and center. And I was very pleased to see your Minister of Defense recently refer to it. What Russia is doing is totally illegal. It violates every law of war. It's got to be, Putin has got to be brought to prosecution. And you're going to have to continue to say this and say it loudly until the leaders of the West can understand that there is a possibility of a future, a peaceful Europe without Vladimir Putin and without the repressive structure that he commands in Russia. And this is a challenge that you're just going to have to face up to. It's hard for Western leaders to envision a Russia in turmoil. We went through this in the late 1980s with fears of so-called loose nukes, loose nuclear weapons. It led to the Bucharest Agreement. You're going to have to provide the assurances and keep the pressure on to look beyond Putin to the future of a new Russia. I'm proud of the United States and NATO for what we're doing to support you. And for what I can do personally, I'll certainly encourage them to do this. But the future rests with you, with your courage, with your determination, with your skill. And I, for one, put my confidence and my vote behind you in Ukraine. I think you're going to set the course for all of us for this early part of the 21st century with your determination and your fight for freedom. I wish you all the best. Thank you.